Morning, guys. Today is Tuesday, April 14th. Now, we talked about a little bit last week that the ocean has 5 zones. So let's talk about the places in the ocean because we do have 5 of them. So we have the sunlight zone. So I drew kind of a tree over here. So I'll show you. Let's look closer. Okay, so here's our beach with our palm tree. Then we come over here and we have the sunlight zone. So this is right on top. This is where we swim and see things on top. This is the top of our ocean. And then we dive a little deeper and we have the twilight zone. And then we dive a little deeper and we have the midnight zone. If we dive a little deeper, there's the abyss. And then we dive a little deeper, there's the trenches. And this is the ocean floor. This is the sand at the very, very, very bottom of the ocean. So we don't see this, but we know it's there. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about what lives in 2 of those zones. Let's talk a little bit about our sunlight zone and our twilight zone. So, in the sunlight zone, that is the things that we can see from the beach or that we could, scuba and see. And so when we look at those, we're thinking jellyfish, we're thinking sharks, we're thinking tunas, we're thinking stingrays, we're thinking sea turtles, we're thinking dolphins, and our blue whale. So we just learned about him, and he lives in the sunlight zone. So remember, whales are mammals, and they need to breathe air, and so do dolphins. And so what they do is they come up to the surface, take a deep, deep, deep breath of air, and then they go back into the water and hold their breath to go find food or swim or any of the other stuff that they might be doing. So that's what they do. Tuna, sharks, jellyfish, stingrays, things like that don't necessarily need to breathe air because they're fish. And so we'll talk a little bit about what makes something a fish besides being able to breathe in the water, which is really cool. So let's talk a little bit about our twilight zone. So when we're thinking of these, the sunlight zone is called the sunlight zone because there is so much sunlight. We can see really well in the water. It would be like if you opened your eyes in your bath water. You could see what was happening because there's enough light in the bath water. The twilight zone, there's not as much light. It's kind of like when the sun's going down. So we can still see, but it's getting a little darker. In that zone, there are sea anemone, clams, sea urchins, cuttlefish, octopus, pufferfish, and krill. Now, if you remember, the blue whale has to go up to the surface, take a deep breath, and then he eats krill, which means that he has to be able to dive all the way from up here for taking his breath all the way down to get the krill down here in the twilight zone. So he's a really, really good swimmer, which is really impressive. So congratulations to that blue whale for being able to swim so well and hunt in a different zone. So when we're thinking of these different zones, remember sunlight zone, tons of light. When we're thinking twilight zone, think when the sun goes down. It's still light outside, but it's getting darker. So when we talk about our other zones on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we'll break these down into each their own, and we'll keep talking about these. So we can talk more about the animals that are there and how they work without much light. Because once we get to our midnight zone and our abyss and our trenches, there's not going to be any light at all in some of them. It's going to be like if you covered your eyes up, you couldn't see any light. So we'll talk about those cool fish and how they get to see tomorrow. All right, guys, I will talk to you soon. Oh, let's talk about our letter. I almost forgot. We are on our last letter. We are on the letter Z. We will need 3 sticks. Okay, so it's going to take a diagonal. So 1 stick, 2 stick, 3 stick, like that. I guess for you it'd be maybe the other way. That's how it works for me. but we're zigzagging. Zig-zag for Z. So if you do an awesome Z and you're practicing it, please send me a picture. I would love to see it. All right, guys, have a fantastic day, and I will talk to you tomorrow. Bye.